But I have to start with what recently happened on the women's national championship side in the NCAA tournament, the basketball side of things. South Carolina knocked off University of Connecticut, the UConn Huskies. Gino Auriemma, the best women's basketball program arguably of all time with 11 championships. They knocked them off yesterday from start to finish, 64-49 to claim their second national championship, second also in the last 5 years. They also won in 2017. And obviously, as sports fans, we love redemption stories because narratives are so important. And South Carolina obviously lost to Stanford, the eventual champion last year, in a heartbreaking fashion in the Final Four last season. They come back, and oftentimes in championship games, we're sometimes surprised by the teams that reach the final because maybe we didn't expect them to. Maybe they had late season runs. The two teams that matched up in the championship game yesterday, this wasn't a fluke. There's nothing surprising about this. This wasn't like on the men's side where the Carolina Tar Heels basically had an incredible tournament as an 8 seed and managed to reach the championship game. No, these were the two best teams in the country all season. Now, I would argue that really South Carolina has been the most dominant program this entire season. That's evident by the fact that even in the preseason, they were ranked number 1. They never left the top spot. They never left the number 1 ranking at any point during the season. All 19 weeks. Obviously, that extended through all 6 wins in the NCAA tournament. They went 35-2 overall. They were 14-0 against the AP top 25 with South Carolina. This team proved time and time again just how dominant, just how well coached, just how elite they are. And what makes it, again, more special is the fact that on the other side, you've got the most successful women's basketball program of all time. The UConn Huskies, 11 national titles, all under Gino Auriemma. And so these were the two top-ranked teams in the preseason. South Carolina came in number 1. UConn came in number 2. These two teams met earlier in the year in the Bahamas back on November 22nd. And the Gamecocks dominated them then. They won 73-57. And the same thing happened yesterday. This game wasn't really that close. South Carolina pretty much asserted themselves from the opening tip. They led 13-2. Then they led 30-12. Now, credit UConn for staging a huge comeback because they managed to ultimately win kind of later in the second quarter. They closed the gap to 8. Then they pulled within 6 in the third quarter, 43-37. But with the exception of that, that was the closest that they ever got. Really, South Carolina was in firm control. And part of the reason is because of the guard play. Destiny Henderson was absolutely sensational. And as much credit as we often give to Paige Beckers, who is spectacular, she is a sensational basketball player. The dribbling display she put on is fantastic. But I do think that Destiny Henderson dropping a career-high 26 points yesterday, setting the pace, establishing pace and rhythm, controlling the game with her speed, but she was playing under a controlled speed. I thought that was a huge difference. She was collecting steals, wreaking havoc. Defensively, South Carolina was stout. They out-rebounded UConn by like 22 points, 41-19, 18-3 on the offensive glass. The National Player of the Year, Aaliyah Boston, another double-double, 11 points, 16 rebounds. So they were controlling pace. They were controlling tempo. They were controlling the glass. They committed fewer fouls. They only committed 11 fouls. UConn committed 21. So everything in the stats department favored and leaned in the direction of South Carolina. So nothing about this outcome or this result should have surprised anyone. The only thing that was surprising is the fact that you look at historically, Gino Auriemma and UConn have been 11-0 in national championship games prior to this defeat. And then you got Don Staley, who now improves to 2-0 as a head coach for South Carolina. They beat Mississippi State in 2017. So this was a really, really impressive run that they've had all season, an impressive tournament culminated in this championship. And as much as we have lauded and we've praised UConn for their dominance, and don't get me wrong, they certainly have. They won 4 straight titles from 2013 to 2016, and they've won 11 overall. But since that distant 2016 championship, other teams have started to emerge. And this hasn't just been the UConn show. We've seen Stanford, we've seen Baylor, we've seen Notre Dame. Now South Carolina is starting to pull ahead. And so some of these organizations, some of these programs are catching up. And South Carolina, you could argue, has exhibited the most dominance over the last 5 years than any women's basketball program in the nation. And it's a major, major accomplishment. Again, nothing about this run or this outcome was surprising. They've been a wrecking ball all season long. And it was only fitting, again, that those were the 2 teams that played for the championship. The 2 preseason top 2 teams in the nation ends up coming down to those 2. South Carolina was absolutely sensational yesterday. A great, great performance. And a major congratulations to the Gamecocks and that program. Absolutely, absolutely fantastic.